Okay, I'm back once again, and how's everyone doing? I'm actually having another Wi-Fi battle here with TheKillerNacho once again, and it's going to be an OU battle once again, and I'm going to be using the same team that I used in a few battles already. You guys have already seen it, so yeah, and here I just want to see if I can actually beat the snack with this team once again. So yeah, let's just get into it. Before we do though, let me just point out that this team that he has actually kind of answers my team really hard. Like, remember when I was asking what does this team have that every other team doesn't have? Well, it has a huge fire weakness, because holy shit, now that after looking at Nacho's team here, he actually has three, well, not three, but he has three mons from a sun team that form a sun team, not some team, sun team. And you know that sun teams can actually tear this team apart, especially if that Houndoom is actually the Mega. So yeah, that's gonna be actually kind of scary, and we're actually gonna have to see how things go from here. And yeah, we're gonna see. I think I lead off with Zapdos as usual on this team anyway, and he's gonna lead off with Fortress. And here I definitely go for the Heat Wave, because I had a feeling he was just gonna stay in and just try to go for the Stealth Rocks just to get them up, just to be on the offensive later in the battle. But he actually doesn't do that. He actually switches into Houndoom's turn 1, which is actually a very good play on his part, because I honestly thought he was going to stay in, so I just went for Heat Wave rather than Volt Switch. So even though my Zapdos could have easily Volt Switched, because this team also does not have any Volt Switch immunity, so I could have just Volt Switched here, but I didn't do that. So, and I could have gotten a switch advantage of my own, but that didn't happen, so now I'm forced to switch out. And he does go for the Fire Blast. This is Mega Houndoom too, by the way. And I switch into Swampert, and I had to switch it in, and I had to risk him having Hidden Power Grass. Thankfully he didn't though, seeing how he switched, and he goes into Shiftry. And I just get my Stealth Rocks up, which is really, really good, because I really need these up. Especially because two of his mons are actually weak to rocks. Specifically his Houndoom and Ninetales. But here I go into Lucario, because I just have to hope he doesn't go for the Brick Break or anything like that. He does go for the Fake Out, which is boosted by Normal Gem, so I'm actually glad I switched this thing in. I didn't want to switch Diancie for the obvious reason, but yeah, and he switches out Shiftry now after going for Fake Out, and he now goes into Ninetales. So, and this is actually where things start to get dangerous for me, because this Ninetales is a Drought Ninetales, and as a result now has the Sun up. And if he has the what's it called? The Heat Rock, it will just be here for a long time. Here I go for an Ice Punch on Lucario, and the reason why I went for Ice Punch was because he had the Gengar, and I was afraid seeing how he went for the first turn switch in the Houndoom on my Zapdos, I was afraid he'd try to do another crazy switching Gengar on the predicted Drain Punch, so I didn't go for Drain Punch. And I actually went for Ice Punch, because the only other move was Extreme Speed. I couldn't go for anything else, honestly. So, but he goes into Ninetales instead, and this forces me to switch out once again. And here I think he went for Flamethrower on my Lucario, but I switched into Diancie to take it. And then here I stay in just to protect, because I thought he would try to stay in and try to switch it up to Solar Beam, but he doesn't. He goes back into Fortress, and here I'm actually forced to switch out. And he goes for the Rapid Spin on my Zapdos, which is good and bad. Good because it actually takes residual damage from the Rocky Helmet, and while doing a little bit of damage to my Zapdos. But the bad thing is that it gets rid of my rocks. And so here I think I just Volt Switch once again, because I do predict him to switch this time. Yeah, he does switch, and I go for the Volt Switch. And here I think he goes into Rotom Wash. And because I Volt Switch, here I get the switch advantage, and I take advantage of this to send in Roserade, because Roserade can just either predict the switch and go for Sleep Powder, or just go straight for the Giga Drain. So I go into Roserade right here. And I think the first thing I do here was try to go for the Sludge Bomb. Yeah, I go for Sludge Bomb just to get damage on this Rotom. I thought I went for Sludge Bomb rather than Giga Drain in case he goes into Ninetales. So, but he didn't. He actually went into Fortress, which is actually a much better play. Now here I definitely go for the Sleep Powder, because I wanted to keep this thing asleep, but he just switches into Mega Houndoom, and I was like, if I hit this sleep powder, that'd be really, really good. And I do hit the sleep powder, which is really, really good, because this Mega Houndoom in the sun is actually really, really dangerous, because if it has Solar Beam, it literally just destroys the entirety of my team, including Mega Diancie, because it outspeeds everything on my team. And that's the dangerous thing. So thankfully my Roserade, once again, saving my damn team, putting its team on its back as usual. Saving everyone from this Mega Houndoom just to wreak havoc, basically. This is why Roserade is literally like the MVP in a lot of the battles that I have using Roserade. But anyways, he goes now into Ninetales, because after KOing the Houndoom, now he gets a free switch into whatever he wants, and he decides that Ninetales is the ideal switch in for Roserade, because he can just force switch. And I go into Swampert thinking he might go for the fire move, but he also he actually goes for Solar Beam. I know that Solar Beam was a move that he could carry on his Ninetales, especially when it has Drought as an ability, but I just kind of was hoping, because it's kind of hard. Like, he basically put me in a 50-50. I had to predict whether he'd go for fire move or grass move, and I predicted wrong here, so what are you gonna do? And I go into Mega Diancie here, and he's gonna be forced to switch out, and he goes back into the Fortress, and I just go for Diamond Storm just to get some damage at least, because this Fortress remains healthy, and I need this thing weakened so that anything else on my team can just simply take it out with impunity. But it doesn't even do half, so I don't even get to two-shot this thing, so I'm forced to switch out yet again, and I think I do go into Zapdos here. And here I think I once again over-predict and go for Volt Switch, and it doesn't KO, unfortunately. The Fortress goes for Gyro Ball too, by the way, and it's gonna take more Rocky Helmet damage. Now I was hoping with this Rocky Helmet damage that I would be able to KO the Fortress, which is why I went for Volt Switch, because I was hoping that after the residual damage with Rocky Helmet I'd be able to KO this thing with Volt Switch. I didn't want to predict him to switch out, so that's why I didn't go for Heat Wave, because he could have gone into Ninetales and he would have just outspit my Zapdos, because my Zapdos is not invested in speed, and I'm pretty sure that Ninetales is. So I just Volt Switched, and now I'm forced to go into Bisharp. And the bad thing about this now, though, is that this Fortress gets the freaking Rocks up again, and that's really, really bad, because now I have to take Rocks damage every time I switch in. So I go for the knockoff on this thing just to get rid of this thing, because I'm sick of this thing being an inconvenience to me already. It already got its Rocks up too, and this was what I was trying to prevent in the first place. This is why I went for Heat Wave turn 1 out with Zapdos. I just wanted to punish him for getting the Rocks up, but look at that. He got away with just getting the Rocks up anyway. And now I'm forced to switch out, because I don't want this Rotom Heat to burn my Bisharp. I feel like I might need Bisharp later, so I go into Roserade to take a Will-O-Wisp. And if he goes for an offensive move, Roserade resists both, so this was an easy switch in for me, honestly. I was hoping he wouldn't double switch, but he got the burn on my Roserade, which is actually kind of bad, because this Roserade is Life Orb, so every time it attacks, it's just going to take Life Orb damage and burn damage, so it's like, ugh. Here I was actually kind of predicting him to stay in. I don't know why, because I could have easily just gone for a Sludge Bomb here. Now that his Fortress was gone, I could have so gone for Sludge Bomb, but I didn't go for it. He switches into Shiftry predicting that. I could have so gone for Sludge Bomb, I swear. But yeah, I didn't go for it though, and now I'm just gonna be switching out, because I don't want Roserade to die to this thing. This thing could go for a knockoff, which will hurt really badly, because I think these Shiftries carry a relatively high attack stats, so I didn't want anything crazy going on. And he does end up going for the Fake Out, which would have just given more chip damage to Roserade and just weaken it much quicker, so I just switched in Zapdos here. This thing takes Rocky Helmet damage. The sun is gone, so that's actually really, really good. But this Shiftry not only outspeeds my Zapdos anyway, it also carries fucking Explosion. It carries What the Fuck Boom. What the fuck? When does Shiftry ever carry fucking Explosion? I don't even know. It's probably a set from Smolin, I don't know, because I don't really look at the sets that Smolin suggests for Pokemon that I'm not really interested in, and Shiftry is one of those. But yeah, and here I just lose Zapdos, but at least the Shiftry goes down too. Here, this was another 50-50. I had to predict whether he'd go into Ninetales or Rotom Wash. I make the wrong switch again and go into Diancie on a Rotom Wash, and now I have to switch out yet again. He does not go for Volt Switch though. He goes for Hydro Pump, thinking I'd probably try to stay in this time after seeing how many times he switched out every time I get a good matchup. But I just switched into Roserade again, and thankfully he didn't go for Volt Switch, because otherwise right there I would have just been screwed. And this Roserade is literally getting withered down so badly right now. Like, I'm just switching it in, and it's taking Rocks damage, and it's taking burn damage too, and not to mention hits from other Pokemon as well. This Roserade is just suffering so much, I tells you. He goes into Ninetales on the switch. I go for Giga Drain because I once again thought he would try to stay in this time, because he knows that I know that I'm catching him switching out a lot. So I thought he would this time stay in, but he didn't. So he actually predicted the hell out of me again. And I still wanted to save Roserade because I really need this thing for the Rotom Wash. So I sack Lucario. Plus, I felt like I needed it. I don't know why I needed it, actually. Either way, I just saved Roserade and I just sack Lucario. I kind of don't know if that was even a good play or not. And I didn't want to switch into Diancie, because if he went for the Solar Beam, I would have just lost Diancie there. But yeah, Ninetales takes out Lucario, unfortunately, which was actually kind of bad. And plus, I kind of felt like I didn't need Lucario because it wasn't going to really do much against the Gengar. Especially if he has Focus Blast. And the rocks were up, so my Sash that I had on Lucario was also there, so there was literally, I felt like it was useless. I go for the Diamond Storm and I finally take out this damn Ninetales that was pissing me off all throughout this battle because it kept pressuring me to death. It's also costing my Roserade a lot of HP too, not to mention because I'm always forced to switch it out. And every time I switch it in, it's just taking more rocks damage. I go for the Moonblast on this thing, on the Rotom Wash, just because I was kind of hoping I'd be able to take a Hydro Pump since it's still in the sun and whatnot. But it actually just took out my Diancie, so I was like, god damn it. I should have probably just switched out into maybe Bisharp, but I didn't want to risk this thing going for another Will-O-Wisp or something. So I just, and now I go into Roserade, which was, I don't know. I feel like I kind of messed up in a few areas, but there was just so many 50-50s in this battle that I kind of just felt like I had to basically play a game of flip the coin or something. But here I finally take out this Rotom Wash, which was what I wanted this Roserade to do in the first place. But damn, it just got so damn worn down in the process. I mean, here it freaking just comes in, takes rocks damage, then gets withered down by the Life Orb, and then just goes down to the freaking burn. Like, holy shit, this Roserade literally couldn't freaking get a break in this match, and it did a lot nonetheless, which is actually really crazy. This is why I love Roserade. But anyways, here we both are in our last Pokemon, and he actually goes into Gengar. I go into the Bisharp. I try to Sucker Punch it, hoping it wouldn't be sashed, but not only was this thing sashed, it was also freaking Substitute. And I was like, what the fuck? Who the fuck runs Substitute on Gengar? Well, that was me at the time, because honestly, I don't know what sets are usually standard in battles anyway. But yeah, I actually lost, and I was hoping to God that it wouldn't hit the damn Focus Blast, but it did. And on top of that, this Gengar was Life Orb. That's an even bigger question. Who runs Life Orb with freaking Substitute on a freaking Gengar? Like, goddamn, that's just weird. It sounds somewhat counterproductive considering that, well, you lose HP from Substitute, you also lose more HP from Life Orb. I guess it was maybe just a last ditch effort kind of a thing or something. Like, maybe this was meant to be a late game sweeper anyways, and maybe that's why I carried Life Orb, just to late game sweep, and if he predicts as a switch, you're behind Substitute. I guess that was the purpose behind it, but I don't know. Either way, that was a good game nonetheless to the Killer Nacho, because yeah, that guy's pretty awesome. I like him. I like him a lot. That I don't even mind these kinds of losses. And this was actually a very close battle, so why would I complain in the first place? But yeah, that's going to be a good game, and stay tuned for more battles because I still have more of those to do. And yeah, take it easy.